What are the characteristics that can make a city successful? We've maybe touched on that a few times. We thought it would be a good idea to look at one city that's now the focal point of some experiments where technology is being applied, but with a view toward the social and the cultural and the aesthetic milieu. And I think it's probably a good moment in the schedule to ask two colleagues from Amsterdam to come and join us. We'll get the slide up. Christoph Herzig with Philips, James Crowther with Cisco, partners in crime, making an effort underway in Amsterdam to do something which I think you'll find remarkable. Thanks, gents.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Crowther. I'm employed within the Internet Business Solutions Group in our global manufacturing process. I'd like to introduce Christoph.
Christoph Herzig. I'm global marketing responsible in the business group Professional Lighting Solutions for outdoor systems and services. And we're going to take you today into a subject that is the Internet of Things and examples from Amsterdam related to connected public lighting. And the objective is really that you take away that there is an often overlooked element of infrastructure in the public space that luckily came back yesterday and today in a couple of speeches, and we want to show you the real potential of a connected public lighting infrastructure in a smart city. And we want to show you not the technical challenge, but a business approach and an approach to take the cities along. And we have not chosen Amsterdam by accident. We actually have learned that Amsterdam reportedly was the first city that introduced street lighting in a structured way. In 1667, an inventor and painter named Jan van der Heyden invented a lamp that was burning on vegetable oil without the flicker that produced the smoke of other solutions during the day, and it was introduced on a large scale in Amsterdam. And so we're now ready to take this to the new level.
First of all, I'd just like to introduce the partnership that we're actually developing with Philips. As you know, Philips is divided into three different business units, one of which is the healthcare area. The other area is the consumer lifestyle. What we're going to be focusing on today is purely around lighting. I think the general trend across Philips at this moment is that things are becoming more connected, and more of the things and the devices that they're actually building, think of a toothbrush, think of a MCI scanner, or think of a lamppost, now I call it luminaire, by the way, are becoming more and more connected to sensors and to the internet. And that really is the heart of the partnership they're actually driving at this moment. Susan, in her presentation earlier, talked about the amazing capability of LED in cities to change the livability, to actually improve the proudness to actually live in a city. What we're trying to do in this partnership is combine the IP network, or the Intelligent Information Network, combined to the street lamps or public lighting networks that Philips obviously been driving for the last 80 years, which we think is a very, very exciting period of time to be in, and a major market transition that's actually going on.
Yes, and we're not only looking at thinking about this, but we want to do it. But let's take two steps back, and referring also to Suzanne's presentation, you learned there are three major benefits that come with LED. That's number one, the tremendous energy savings that we can achieve that are in excess of 60% compared to today's installations. Secondly, a long lifetime, which expands the lifetime of the light source by a factor 5 to 10, providing additional opportunities for maintenance savings of 15 to 30%. And thirdly, the controllability, which doesn't stop at dimming the light, but it goes beyond and even adding color to the whole game. This is the story about lighting, and this is very clear. There's a massive business case to do the transformation to LED lighting today. But in order to gain the full potential of this transformation, we believe that we have to add another thing. And with the digitization of lighting, there's also an informatization of this network going on. And establishing this network is the foundation for enabling the light pole to become the host for a multitude of services. Because imagine you have power during the day, proliferated through the entire city, and you have communication to each pole. So what could you do? Imagine a very granular network of sensors allowing you to measure noise, allowing you to measure air pollution, allowing you to measure flow of people, traffic, and correlate this data with other facts that pop up in the city. You are able to steer a smart city in a much more rigid and adaptive way. And it doesn't stop there. The second aspect that is very important here, cities are looking for decluttering. New assets pop up in the city every day in the street, EV charging stations next to a waste bin, next to a light pole, next to an info terminal. There is a massive opportunity to converge these elements. So we actually promote to not stop with very energy efficient street lighting. We say turn this into a platform for innovation and multiple services.
So clearly the challenge is to redefine what used to be called a lamppost, because clearly the lamppost in the future will not be a lamppost anymore. We think it will be a multi-service vehicle, which, as Christoph says, will actually decrease the cluttering, but also provide a fantastic open environment, integrating video, surveillance, hotspots, a lot of different services based around an IP network, where a lot of people can actually do a lot of innovation around the edge. Quick word around Cisco, where we're actually going. I think this year has been actually a quite significant year, because we're actually moving into what we're calling the third area of the internet, the industrialization of the internet. We've actually set up 2 new business units in San Jose. One is around the connected energy, and the other thing is around machine to machine, clearly positioning ourselves when things become more censored, more network-centric. So what we're trying to do here is actually build on these trends, and there's no better area to start than actually around luminaires or lighting in cities, as it's a very, very visible and very, very tangible area to actually start in actually developing these networks. What's also very significant is that we are actually rolling out now products built around a field area network, which used to be called the smart grid. We prefer to call it the energy internet. So that's actually now becoming actually a real possibility. And they're actually working with energy utilities in Amsterdam and the Netherlands, who are actually rolling out this IP enablement, primary, secondary, right through to the street cabinet level, which enables you then to connect the street lampposts through a variety of different last mile technologies, including broadband, to the smart grid. So what we're actually building now is an open innovation platform where not only lighting can be combined to the smart grid, traffic management, garbage disposal, a lot of different services which traditionally have been siloed within the city council can now be combined together in an open way in producing a whole new portfolio of different possibilities and solutions.
Okay. Before we go to the endless opportunities again, let's take 2 steps back and look again at what we mean with adaptive, context-driven street lighting, and what elements have to work seamlessly together, and what Philips is actually doing to make this happen. So we focus, of course, on the very efficient and best designed lighting devices that are driven by product performance, but also aesthetics. We have to put in place, and we do, software controls that allows us to remotely manage these, both from a maintenance perspective as well as from an adaptability, but we also add local intelligence. And we are enabling communication from one pole to another. So actually multiple light poles act as a local system, yeah, and provide an experience to a citizen, to a pedestrian, to a car driver, yeah, that is driven by local controls. So the seamless interaction between the central management as well as the local control, and we see here a migration of intelligence, is super important in this transformation. Yeah. But we also know, and we all know here, we're all kind of geeks, digitization and informatization, they go along in parallel, and they are a highly iterative process. So it is very, very difficult to now make choices on the winning technology. So what we are looking at, and what is the foundation of our approach also towards cities, is what Gordon Falconer also introduced in his point of view lately, Gordon Falconer of Cisco, on the asset bundling, which allows us to look at, this is extremely important, at the different departments of a city and look at their entire operating models, IT systems and infrastructures that are in use, as well as the processes. And then we create meaningful asset bundles that are driven from the scenarios we want to create in the city. So only by managing these asset bundles, define them as a scope, we are able to put the right governance in place. Because as we all know, cities are very complex environments, and still organized around silos. We see this every day. So breaking down these silos in a factual base will allow us to break through these gridlock.
Okay, so let's get practical. You've heard the strategy. You've heard the direction in which both companies are actually partnering in. We've actually initiated a couple of proof of concepts or projects in Amsterdam based on the premise that there's no better way to actually get the answers and find out how to solve some of the issues, such as value chains and business models and ownership of the lamppost than actually to figure it out on the ground. So we've actually initiated two concepts, very, very different in nature. And I'm going to talk about the first one before handing over to Christoph before talking to the second. First one is around an area of Amsterdam, which I'll describe in a minute, called Amsterdam Southeast. That's actually the home of quite a famous soccer club, I think you say over here, soccer, Ajax Amsterdam, which has an area which is actually visited by 9 million people every day. It's also an area which includes a low-income based area and also a residential retail area as well. What does that mean? That means that we can address a lot of different business drivers or value drivers, and we actually can integrate different solutions into the lamppost or the luminaire, depending on the need of the local community in the area. How are we approaching this? We've obviously sat down with Caroline Gerels and her team in the city of Amsterdam in contributing to an overall vision of the city, specifically a lighting vision. And then the first step that we actually had to take was actually to build a value case, build around total value ownership. Parallel to that, we've actually set up a couple of design teams utilizing the amazing capabilities of Philips in the area of design, actually the aesthetics of the lamppost itself. After we've done that, we've done the economics, we've also built the user cases, we can then insert architectures which we think will be applicable to that particular area. Bearing in mind that different areas of Amsterdam or this location will obviously require different kinds of architectures depending on the last mile and the amount of bandwidth that we need to stream to the lamppost. Next slide. So this is the area. It's a very new area of Amsterdam. This area 20 years ago was effectively a cow field. So you can obviously see the amazing development that's actually happened. It's actually part of where Cisco lives, actually. It's actually our own backyard. And the interesting thing here is that obviously you have different areas where, again, you can obviously try and experiment different kinds of modules or different kind of flavors of lighting combined with some of these other solutions as well. So as I've said, you've got the Amsterdam Arena here, which leads through to an area with a lot of crime. Bicycle theft, would you believe, is quite prevalent in that area. I think if you took out bicycle theft, it would have one of the lowest crime rates. And also a large area of buildings that were built in the 60s with a huge amount of open, dangerous spaces actually in between them, where obviously we can do things like surveillance and things. So let's have a look at the value case. This is a piece of work that, again, we're driving again with Philips. And I think the key takeaways here is that traditionally, if you were to look at lighting, you would struggle to get a net present value of above 0 over 5 years. It's like building a new swimming pool. However, when you start actually building other solutions around lighting, you can address different kind of value drivers for different kinds of stakeholders in the area. Think about the city of Amsterdam. Reduction of police time through having dynamic surveillance or crowd control, providing people with not only marketing data, but also safety and surveillance data. You can obviously have the big data question, bearing in mind around this architecture there will be a lot of open systems and a huge exhaust of data being spat out through combining traffic, garbage disposal, lighting all together. And obviously we have the CO2 impact that Susan and Christoph has already mentioned early in the presentation. Together, obviously, with the value drivers that politicians are looking for, such as GDP impact and job creation, as well as people's happiness purely to actually live in that area. Look around the entertainment areas, retail areas, you can see things like digital advertising. Obviously, there will be some players in the marketplace who will be very, very interested to utilize a platform of HD screens built into the lampposts themselves. And obviously, around visitors and residents, the ability, again, to combine, for example, lighting with traffic management in providing dynamic routing and dynamic signing away from major sports events, for example. So a lot of different business drivers which alter the dynamics of the business case. For the first time, it provides you with a revenue upside in regard to lighting and adjacent services.
And sorry, Gordon, we're in overtime, I think. But if you allow me, I would like to bring this case up. Very tiny. So this is the Westergasfabrik. This is going to be our living lab between Cisco, the Westergasfabrik, and Philips. And what this is, it also has to do with lighting. This was a gas production site in the end of 19th century, and the gas was extracted from coal for the use in gas streetlights. In 1967, this plant was shut down and turned into a vibrant cultural, living, and especially working place with startups in media and a lot of events. And we're very proud that we're able, with our joint solutions, going to bring first experiences into the Westergasfabrik, which is a very close place to the center of Amsterdam. And we are able then to take these solutions and test them on a larger scale, for example, in the Southeast projects. And by that, we are able to scale. And the only thing that we measure is relevance and impact. And this will be the proof point. So this is how we like to wrap it up. And thanks, Gordon, for allowing us to be part of your
Thank you so much.
super conference here.
Fantastic.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.